Welcome back to Central Valley Talk. If it's Wednesday and it's an 11 o'clock hour, you know what that means. It's the Artists and Authors Show. And it's Art Hop Week here in Fresno in the Tower District and downtown. The first Thursday of each month is Art Hop, and we try to feature one artist, the best artist from Art Hop. And our guest today is Rebecca Caraveo. Welcome, Rebecca. And
hi, Mike.
You're going to open an exhibit, a photography exhibit, actually.
Yes.
At Spectrum Gallery.
This starts tomorrow.
On Art Hop Day.
Art Hop Day.
June 1st, I think.
Goes through July 2nd. It's like a 5-week show this year.
That's a long one.
It is.
Now, your art, do you mostly do photography or you do different kinds of art?
Well, I do strictly photography as art, but, I've taken some painting lessons, and I can make jewelry. But with photography, I do a lot of mixed media, meaning different styles of photography. Sometimes I can do collage or different things like that with it.
And you teach photography at City
And I teach
College.
photography at City College. Introduction to the photography for new students.
Now, I know you occasionally take trips, you lead groups of people to France.
Yes, I have a company called La Belle France Tours, and I have been doing that for almost 17, 18 years now.
Wow.
So we just came back at the end of April.
Yeah, I talk to people with tough jobs all the time.
Yeah.
That's gotta be the
Well,
toughest.
it was one of those things where I decided, I went to Paris one year for a few days. I went to Belgium to visit some relatives, and but I stayed in Paris for 4 days by myself. And I called my husband and I said, honey, it's absolutely beautiful here. I don't want to come home. And he said, come home, you can go back. So we made a plan after about a year or so that I could open this company and start taking people on tours of Paris. Unfortunately, it was right around when the economy tanked and, different little things happened. But I've still been doing it now for...
Even right through COVID.
Yeah, well... We had 2 trips planned for COVID, one in April and one in May, which of course had to cancel. But we redid those last year.
Oh, you did?
So
Okay.
it took a couple of years, but and things change in Paris and in traveling. You had to have your mask and your shots and appointments now. At museums, which is actually really, really nice because you're not showing up with the crowd, and you have an appointment to get in. This year, as opposed to last year, it was probably twice as crowded, and it still wasn't capacity like it had been in previous years.
Now, you brought some examples of your work that
I
people
did.
can go see at Spectrum Gallery
Yes.
starting Thursday.
Let me say, Spectrum's at 608 East Olive in the Tower, just down the street here. It's next to Pimani's. And between the Peonies and the Clock Shop. It's also the Farmer's Market now.
Yep.
On Thursdays.
Yep.
So plan on parking. Actually, if you're got the inside scoop, the gallery, we're going to start leaving our back parking lot open to let people park.
That's nice.
Give us a little bit more parking space for everybody, because it's pretty crowded out there on the Farmer's Market.
Thursdays it's very crowded. It brings a whole new bunch of people to the tower. Which
Yes.
is very nice.
So it was very nice. I've been a couple times now. I think both weeks now.
Yeah.
So
Tell us about these pictures.
Okay, I will.
This looks
First,
like tulips.
These are tulips in Monet's gardens. I've been to Monet's gardens, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. What's really neat
It's
about
literally Monet's garden.
it's his home. Yes, it's his home.
Are there
where-
water lilies there?
Yes, but what I was going to say is that what happens is that different times of the year, different things are blooming.
Right.
So the wisteria on the bridge was just starting to form. They were cleaning out the pond and getting ready for the water lilies. I don't know if they bring them in or what. But a lot of the things, like these tulips and things, they are constantly changing those bulbs out. So sometimes it's iris, sometimes it's allium, sometimes it's poppies.
Now, the gardens are in Belgium or France?
No, it's in France.
France,
It's
okay.
about an hour north of Paris, in a town called Giverny, and it's a very small village. You actually take the train to Vernon, and then there's a bus that takes you across the river to this little village. And it's a beautiful little medieval kind of village with his home. I think they said it's 26 acres. There's 120 full-time gardeners. It's
Are there-
basically open from April
Is
to...
it packed or crowded or? sparsely attended?
No, it's always packed. It's always got tour buses that come in with, loads of tourists. What there weren't this year were little kids, because usually there are a lot of children.
Yeah.
They're very big into taking kids on field trips and their what they call their patrimony, or the history of their country. So they'll be 5-year-olds learning their colors and flowers. And
This next one's Belgium.
this is Belgium, yes.
Yeah.
This is
I just learned that Belgium has all these canals. I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah, kind of big. It's next to Holland, so there's a lot of waterways, and in France as well. All the towns and cities are built on the waterways. That's where they got their water, right?
Yep.
But in Belgium, in Ghent, this is a very old city itself. These buildings aren't quite as old as there's. To the right of this is the Count's Castle.
Now this, I got to keep telling myself, Rebecca took this picture.
I did take
It's
that
really
picture.
like it's so beautiful. It's very artistic. You got the clouds,
Thank you.
the water,
And it's
the colors.
Sometimes you just go somewhere and it's just beyond beautiful.
Right.
This is a city that you're not really allowed to drive in. They have really, really low emission standards. I got a ticket or two for driving at the wrong time of the day. I'm just going to throw that out there. And what happens is that they have trams and trains, so they don't want you bringing in a car. You can't even really rent a car there.
So you're an international violator.
Oh, yeah. More than once in my lifetime.
Now,
It's all
this-
car related.
Now, is this a street sign, this next picture?
Now, the metro signs, these are, this is an Art Deco metro sign in the evening, obviously the blue light, we call it. And all the different metro entrances will have different signs that, say Metropolitan, here's the underground. But they're all Art Deco. So this is one of the styles. There are a couple that are still covered, meaning they have this entrance, but they will actually have a wrought iron covering that's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 of those left.
It is beautiful. Okay, let's see. Go to the next picture. What do we have here?
Well, these are the famous catacombs, right? The catacombs, it's about, I think it's 1.5 miles underneath the ground. So it takes a good hour to walk it.
And these are actually human
These are
remains.
human skulls. These were brought because there's not a lot of land left in France or in Belgium or whatever. They will actually dig up the bones from the cemetery and move them. And so this happens like probably about in the 1700s. They were running out of land. And so the monks at night would, they take the bones and do a ceremony and take them to these underground tunnels that they had and would store the bones there. I can't tell you how many millions of people are down there. It's very peaceful, as opposed to, say, the Normandy D-Day beaches, where you have way more of a sadder feeling. This is it's kind of gruesome. I didn't like it. Yeah. You're under the ground with millions of bones, and after about halfway through, I thought, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wanted to photograph it, but not that bad.
And then we have the Eiffel Tower.
Yes, this image is taken from across the river at the Palais de Chaillot. It's directly across from the river, and the whole thing is just set up so it's just. Well, Paris is like an outside museum. Everywhere you go, every corner you turn, there's a little park or there's just a statue. And the people are real reverent with it. They don't graffiti it.
That's great.
They don't damage it. It's, sometimes they'll be like during the protests and stuff, you'll see paint on something but basically, all these beautiful things live undamaged.
Yeah, with millions of people.
With millions,
Going from
literally.
all over the world to take a look at them. And then finally we have a pastoral scene, it looks like.
Yeah, this is Le Mont Saint-Michel. It is an island out there, and it was a monastery built for St. Michael. I love the story. St. Michael comes to the abbot and tells him, I need you to build me an abbey here. And the guy ignores him. His name is Aubert. He ignores him, and the third time the angel touches him in the head and says, "No, I need you to build me an abbey right here." And he burns a hole in his skull.
Oh my God.
Okay, so the cool part is in Avranches, which is maybe 5 miles away from where this image is, in that cathedral is the skull of Saint Aubert with a hole in it.
There's a hole in it. There is a hole in it. Oh
Right.
my gosh.
And that's the legend of Saint Michael asking him to build the monastery there. And what happens is it is actually a pilgrimage place, and the tide would go out. You would walk to it from the land, and when the tide was out, but then the tide would come in and make it a monastery again. So in the last 10 or 15 years of my visiting this wonderful place, they have built a people bridge. The first time they were just starting to build it, and it was just dirt.
Okay, so these pictures, we saw, 6 pictures, but at your show, there's going to be how many?
There's about 40.
40 pictures. So
Yeah.
And now this starts Thursday, June 1st. It's
Tomorrow, yeah.
Art Hop, but you don't only have to come on that day. They could come. What days is the Spectrum open?
Spectrum's actually open Thursday through Sunday. It's open Thursday and Friday evenings, I think 11 to 8.
Okay.
And then, not 11 to 8, 4 to 8, just like in the evenings. And then on Saturday and Sunday, it's open like 11 to 4,
11
or
to
noon
4,
to 4 or something. Noon to 5, I think. 11 to 4.
So there's no reason not to go. They'll find
No,
a
no,
spot
no.
and a time for everybody. So.
And yes, and then later on in the month, I'll have a couple of other events that revolve around my show. And one will be my personal reception that everyone's invited to. It's just not the Art Hop one, which gets kind of crazy with a lot of people, especially coming to the farmer's market now.
Yes.
And then I will also be giving a talk about my work and the different types of photography I have used in the past 30 years. You'll see some of those original black and white silver gelatin images that were printed in the darkroom, as well as my hand-colored images.
I was thinking about this when you were talking about you're going to Paris, Belgium, and all that, how you can now take thousands of pictures.
Oh, my goodness.
But in our day,
Right, in the black and white ones.
in black and white, and you had to get the film developed and printed, and it was expensive, so you sparingly took
Well,
pictures.
yeah, unfortunately, being a photographer, I printed and developed my own film, but still, you had 24 shots, and you had to make each
24
shot
shots,
count.
that's right.
Now I come home with, so my very first trip to France, or my very first trip that I went on overseas, it was 12 days on a cruise in the 90s. I took 30 rolls of film
30
with
rolls,
me.
yeah.
Okay, and shot every one. But now, so the 24 exposures, you guys do the math, I'm not doing it. Then now I come home with between 2,500 and 5,000, depending on
5,000.
how many cameras I take with me.
And they're HD, high quality pictures.
Yeah, and some are on my phone, and 2,500 on the phone,
Yeah.
2,500 on the camera. I used to take 3 cameras until my third one just, gave up
out,
the
yeah.
ghost.
By the way, Catty Corner here on that empty corner over there was Photomat.
Yes, I
Yeah,
remember
they
the
had that
photo
photomat
mat
there.
was there.
Yeah.
That was back in the day.
Yeah. And sometimes we'd hold the film until we had the money.
Right,
to get the film developed,
exactly.
so.
And I know people that still have rolls of films
Yeah.
rolling around in their drawers.
Yeah, I've seen them. All right, so Rebecca Caraveo, photographic artist, she will be at Spectrum Gallery all month, for the whole month of June, really.
I am, yeah.
From June 1st to the
July 2nd, yeah.
To July 2nd. So go. Art Hop is Thursday. Go to the Farmers Market in the Tower. Find secret parking behind Spectrum Gallery.
Exactly.
And but if you don't go on that day, next Thursday, it'll be open 11 to 8.
Yeah. It's always going to be open for the farmer markets
market.
nights. The evenings they just changed the hours for that for the summer, I believe.
Anything else our viewers need to know?
I don't think so. I do have a few of my rock and roll pictures in there because
Like
we
that.
forgot to mention the whole Caddy Ness angle.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Are you playing Caddy Ness?
No, we retired last summer.
What? I'm
Yes.
shocked to hear that. Actually.
I am too.
You're still pretty young for retirement.
Oh, thank you, but
I know her
hey,
exact age, but I won't say it here.
Yeah, we retired after almost 30 years.
Wow.
We played a giant car show in Long Beach, and I said, I'm tired, my shoulder hurts, and I I don't want to be one of the gray-haired people up there playing. When you've been playing for 30 years, I'll let my friends do that. We'll go see them and cheer them on. In fact, this is something super cool. Last year, and this was another big thing that made me decide to retire, I played at a big rockabilly festival in France when we went last year.
Remember that, yeah.
And my guitar player was Eddie Angel, who was a very big deal in our scene, and I thought, I'm never going to top having Eddie Angel for a guitar player. I love my guitar player, my husband and stuff.
You hit the top. There's
I
nowhere
was
else
kind
to
of
go.
like, you know what? I just get to go and be a watcher from now on. And,
Was the group Caddy Ness
and the Revenge,
and the
yeah,
Revenge.
Caddy
Caddy
Ness and the Revenge. So it's named after Mike Ness from Social Distortion, and Mike just had his 40-year anniversary.
Is there music out there that people can find? And
Oh yeah, there's
download?
YouTube and stuff. Sure,
you find
yeah.
it.
Look for me.
maybe on Central Valley Talk.
I
too.
bet there
Yeah.
is.
All right. We'll be back with more Central Valley Talk right after this.